Greetings, and thank you so much for tuning in right now. You have now tuned in to Warden's Midwest podcast, and we are streaming live not today from the Black Couch, but shout out to Black Couch either way. We're actually streaming live today from New Holland, Ohio, uh, my parents' house. But yeah, I'm actually going to be interviewing an artist who will be calling in today. He's a dear friend of mine. He's a producer, rapper, and he is really, really talented. He actually produced a lot for me earlier in my career, and I'm looking forward to catching up with him, seeing what he has going on. I know he just released a project. He's a family man now, and I just want to see where he's at. And I think he'd be really entertaining and a great guest to interview for up and coming artists who may want to kind of see where to take their careers. Likewise, I want to get into a few other topics. I may have him on the phone for these topics as well. There's a few things going on around the world right now that I want to tune in on and have some of the listeners kind of chime in on as well. But I'll get into all those things a little bit later. For now, just check out some of this music. I'm going to play some music for you all, and we'll be back right after these messages. Turn up or turn around.
You can't stand to be alone, so I work all night and day. And I find it's better to stop, try to watch them. And I feel like feeling here, but I'm not your criminal by pray. Time spent running is what I do best, if I may say. You got a better chance of ruining me than I could ever take. How you do what I want of you, not so tough to stay. I can be this, I can be this. I can be this, I can be this. I can be this, I can be this. I can make this, I can make it work. Rewrite the book for me, and moving in to breathe. And I find a little bit of that, it's all I really need. And I feel for your sister, yeah, but I'm not your lover, not today. She'll found a way to run, but that don't make it right. Push me and I'll go on and on and on and on all night. You would be my own savior, yeah, but I've heard that shit before, I swear. Hey, hey, I can do this world. nigga with attitude. Part one. Yeah. I'm still nice though. Yeah. What you know about a young nigga getting to it? Big dreams, all I ever wanted was music. Now you got rich and know what the way to do it. Simulation was a haze, man, it had to prove. Single parent home, mama held 2 jobs. And she held it down, never made it look hard. Pops gone, let my manhood real scar. Persevere like a nigga steady abroad. No fame, back grades, and we work hard. Working with a car, so we aim for the stars. City was a battlefield, see no scars. But your wounds were healed when you made it far. Please don't doubt it. I would never allow it. Yeah, they would never ever get to me. I lay them out like a pallet. Night night niggas, you high nice niggas. Mumble rappers for the moment, right niggas. Still a sauce and never loaning, right niggas. I can see through my opponent, right niggas. Niggas be mad but bougie. I see the circle mission proof. My niggas got passion, ruthless. I just stay proud of my grooming. I just stay proud of my lady. Yeah, I thank her for having my baby. I know my lucky get crazy. Get on my way, you push your day, my flowers and cut. I get on my trees, yeah, I'm cut. What you mean when you know the source? Y'all still trying to find the blood. Are you? They not on my level, big fat. Digging your hole with the shovel, big fat. This game I influence, pulling them strings like your paddle, big fat. So turn up the treble, they just sound like whatever, big fat. I know that I'm special, name another who better, big facts, big fat. Hunters, big fat, niggas, big fat, big fat, big fat. With that
Hey,
big
mama.
fat, mama, big fat, big fat. Men lie, women lie, big fat. They not on my level, big facts. Hey, y'all know that, big fat. Playing the game, know I'm special, big fat. Say I got drive. My mind look crash course, preparation intense, so these blessings coming fast forward. Yeah, I pray for this and it came true. Pray for this and it stay true to myself. Nigga, this ain't you. Nigga, this ain't you. All of this sauce up and dripping, but this ain't new. Nah, this ain't new. I came in this game with nothing. I just make do. I just make do. Made a name for myself, knowing they hate you. They hate. Just taking a stride, this feeling I'm grateful. Live life like a marathon. I'm more focused when I run the lap. Last one is a right nigga. I'm a nice guy with a flow to match. Know yourself, the real is back. I get around like a Dover sack. Property value gon' rise up. I'ma take that like a D-track. I'm pulling off in that old thing. Gripping wood so I get like timber. Trying to keep your attention. Cause my wheels turn like a fidget spinner. Look ain't got kicking. Collide kicking. My dreams coming vivid. I'm really specific. I knew that I had it. I just had to go get it. They not on my level, big fat. Digging your hole with the shovel, big fat. This game I influence.
Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Big fat. So turn up the treble. They just sound like whatever, big fat. I know that I'm special. Name another who better, big facts, big fat. Hunters, big fat. Niggas, big fat. Big fat, big fat. With that big fat, mama, big fat, big fat. We on the winning team, big fat. They not on my level, big fat. Like that. Big bag, I know I'm special. Big bag. Running, dirty niggas, I'm the fucking truth. Put that on my mama, I would never lose.
Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in today. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in right now. That was Brother Ant Absolute. He will be joining us later on today around 8:30. So stay tuned for the next 20 minutes if you're looking forward to that interview. Once again, this is Warden's Midwest podcast. We normally stream live from the Black Couch, but today we're actually streaming live from New Holland, Ohio. My parents' house. Shh, downstairs. Anyway, I'm just joking. They don't care. I told them I was going to be doing this. But I came home for the holidays. So I figured since I was coming home, I didn't want to, stop the show. I will be back in 2 weeks. Like that makes no sense. Like we're in the technological age. Why not move forward with that? So I reached out to my brother. Like I said, he'll be tuning in a little later. Likewise, next week I'm going to have one of my mentors on who actually teaches at Capital University. So shout out from him. His name is Neil Schmidt. We may be talking to him. No, we will be talking to him next week. I'm trying to get one of my other professors to tune in as well and call in. So we'll see how that works out. But Neil Schmidt will actually be live in studio, in show with us. I'll say that because we're going to be from a different location. And I kind of like this idea. But we will be back at the Black Couch January 9th. So stay tuned for that. As a matter of fact, later on, I'll be rocking one of the shirts. I'm going to do like a little spin deal move or whatever and do my little Superman change and spin around. And you're going to see me in a different shirt. Um, but yeah, like I was saying earlier, I want to talk about a few topics. And if you feel like some of these topics pertain to you, please feel free to chime in via the comment section on the right. Likewise, please subscribe. We would love your subscription because as we continue to build, remember, if you are one of the originators, you are not one of the bandwagon jumpers, you will more than likely get some benefits from that. Not even more likely, you will get some benefits from that. Merch, possibly invitations to shows, possibly production, because I'm a producer, singer, songwriter, or a feature of some kind. You know what I mean? Like we love to give things out in the form of creative exchange because since that's the highest form of currency we currently do have as an artist, why not give that back to the people who support us? So please look forward and subscribe to that. Subscribe to our page, our Wardens Midwest page, and look out for new stuff coming on the way. One of the topics I wanted to dive into today is actually I'm start off with a more positive one. So I can't remember the exact country. I want to say it's a South African country. But I just heard about this, but they are basically giving open visas to African Americans who would like to quote unquote return to the motherland. And I thought that was a great thing. I heard that it may not be for everyone, but from my standpoint, I see that it may really be beneficial. You know what I mean? Just because we see the current rate of the country is going, and there may be more benefits in that. You may be able to start more businesses there. There's more opportunities, and there's people that more or less look like us that run the country, support the country, and you can see people that look like you on TV. There's just like a large benefit to that. Not only you being there personally, but maybe even raising a family there. So I was wondering if anyone would have any, not objections or any like input to that. If you do, like I said, comment on the, in the comment box on the right. I just thought that was a cool thing to hear about. This was like probably about a month or so ago. I heard about this, and we've always heard about that, like, oh, everyone should go visit, a country in Africa, more or less West Africa, if not definitely South Africa, because there's more accepting the visas and such. But I would definitely, I'm going to visit at least, but I do want to see like the way this develops and maybe give it like a year or two. I'm not sure if they have a cap yet, but I do see that there is a benefit to that. Now, the woman who had this discussion kind of discovered this. She has a YouTube channel as well. I will shout her out maybe after I edit this. I'm going to do a little bit more research about that. But there's definitely a big benefit for people um of African American descent, African American culture, to return to a South African country. Once again, countries in South Africa, I think there's only one right now, but several other ones are teaming together to give open visas for African Americans who want to return permanently, not just to visit and to as a as a tourist, not people who just want to come by as tourists, but African Americans who want to go back and actually live there and make a living. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I've already said my piece, but I think there's a large benefit to that. Some people would object to it. All we know is American life, and this is what we have. But as we see the current pathway of this country, is this country actually for African Americans or people of color, for that matter? Should a lot of people of color just do a great migration back to where their origins or their ancestry are? I'm just kind of, I don't know. It's a funny thing to see. The government's in the middle of a shutdown for funding for a wall that I'm not going to get into that right now, but funding for a wall and knowing that things can stop for reasons like that. For people that don't know, a government shutdown does affect all government organizations and businesses, so such as like the Department of Labor, the post office, legislation getting passed. So many things stop and come to a halt for that reason. So knowing that our government wants to stop uh, or has allowed, I guess the president's allowed to do that, allowed to just put a complete halt to it, which, during Obama's campaign, he did that for for the Republican and Democratic sides of the House to kind of come to an agreement on something. But this time it's being used literally because people won't give, or not people, the government won't pass legislation for funding for a wall that is kind of going to be like obsolete virtually. um Comments, anything, I don't know, but I just think that's weird. It's kind of like one of the things that's been twirling around in my mind right now. That's kind of like I would say a world issue, if you would. um Likewise, I'm probably going to ask Brother Absolute about some of these things. But likewise, there's also another thing going on in the world right now, which is actually, affecting the whole world. For those who don't know, the Yellow Vest movement, which is a movement that originated in France, has kind of like expanded to the entire globe. Now, I know everybody might differ on this topic. People might call it a conspiracy theory thing, but look at us. We're the Wardens Midwest, and we do not shy away from any topics, especially when they affect the globe like this. So, the Yellow Vest movement, which originated in France, has basically started because a lot of people in that area have been researching, and they've pilots, normal professionals, children, students, blah blah blah, have like all researched into this and came together to see that they don't support chemtrails as a country. They do not support it. The working class people do not support it there. And those who have done research in that have also supported them from academia. And they've taken to the streets to protest it and actually asked the government, why do they insist on doing this and why does it happen so frequently? They have not given them a response. I'm not exactly sure when it started on, but I know it was rather recent within the last month or so. And I advise you all to research it because it's really, really going on right now. People are rallying to it and they want to know, why are certain particles being sprayed in our atmosphere via planes, and it's not being, discussed. No one's responding to them. So the people basically got I believe people that are, no, the farmers of France rallied together, gathered up all of their manure, and literally went by the government official buildings and sprayed all of them with manure in protest. Firefighters have rallied to the yellow vests in France as well. And now, like I said, it's a global movement. People all around the world are literally supporting this movement, rocking yellow vests. There was literally a yellow vest protest in Chicago last weekend. Was last Saturday actually at noon. And there's been some all around the country and all around the world, like I was saying. I mentioned this story just to let people know that we are not as powerless as some people say us to believe. If we want something to change, it is very simple. We don't. Some people say, "Oh, we should to protest, but we should also go and vote." You know what? No offense to voting. You know what? I strongly support that in the sense of it's a historical thing for me. But I do know the way legislation works and the way um, electing officials works. And in the terms of electing officials, the common person does not have as much power when it comes to national elections. Let's just be honest. If we are not voting in electoral college, if you are not a senator, a mayor, and or a governor, your vote does not have as much power as theirs. It just doesn't. Popular vote is not the same thing as electing an official. It literally is them to make a reference point for who they would like to elect and see how that backlash or that support is going to be had once or whatever official they choose to elect is put into office. So knowing that, if we protest in the form of not in this whole organized, oh, we're going to protest in this area over here type deal. If we protest in the form in which France is doing, which France, even though funny story, they lost a lot of their wars, they don't stand for BS. They do not. They stand up and they go to the people, look them in the face, and say, "What is going on with this? I did not approve this. Why is this in our water? Why is this in our, why is this in our food and all this other jazz?" So knowing that, I want to know, are people ready to do the same thing here? People are upset enough about Trump. They are. I know it. I see it in people's faces. The conversation comes up every day. If you look at all the late night shows, it gets discussed. Why don't we do that? Why don't we occupy the White House lawn? Hmm? Why don't we do that? Oh, we can't do it. There's a fence there. Hop the fence. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying this like you know what I mean? I'm not the person to rally around everybody, but this isn't a one person thing. This isn't a we need a leader type of thing. If we want things to change, no, we're not giving you money for your wall. We're going to occupy this line and no one's going to work until we say so. That's simple. Oh, well, no, that's not going to work. Yes, it will. If you know how much that would affect the economy for everybody to stop working for just one day, just one day, just one day. Shoot, if certain cities did that just for one day, let's say if Chicago, New York, LA, Atlanta, Miami, Florida, if all those cities stopped for a day, do you have any idea how much that would affect the economy? Most people don't. But I want people to research that because that is a very, very it's relevant. It's right now, it's happening, and it shows our power as a community of the civilians to be able to speak up and have power in what we're doing. Once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in again. This is Warden's Midwest podcast. If you like what you're hearing right now, please feel free to subscribe. We are going to get into another musical break. I don't want to talk your ears off, but in about another 5 to 10 minutes, Brother Absolute's going to be calling in. He is our musical guest for today. So right now, we're going to play some more music by Brother Absolute. I'm going to have him talk about some more of his some more of his music once he comes right on live. So thank you so much. We'll be right back after this musical break. Turn up or turn around.
Nigga with attitude. Part one. Yeah. I'm still nice though. Yeah. What you know about a young nigga getting to it? Big dreams, all I ever wanted was music. Now you got rich and no other way to do it. Simulation was haze, man, it had to prove. Yeah. Single parent home, mama held 2 jobs. So she held it down, never made it look hard. Pops gone, let my manhood real scars. Persevere like a nigga steady abroad. No fame, back grades, we work hard. Working with a car, so we ain't for the stars. City was a battlefield, see no scars. But your wounds were healed, you made it far. Please don't doubt it. I would never allow it. Yeah, they would never ever get to me. I lay them out like a college. Night night niggas, you high nice niggas. Mumble rappers for the moment, right niggas. Still a sauce and never loaning, right niggas. I can see through my opponent, right niggas. Niggas be mad but bougie. I see the circle misapprove. My niggas got passion, ruthless. I just stay proud of my grooming. I just stay proud of my lady. Yeah, I thank her for having my baby. I know my luck can get crazy. Get on my way, you push me daisy. Give me my flowers and good. I get on my trees, yeah, I'm good. What you mean when you know the source? I'm still trying to find the blood. Are you? They not on my level, big fat. Digging your hole with the shovel, big fat. This game my influence, pulling them strings like your paddle, big fat. So turn up the treble, they just sound like whatever, big fat. I know that I'm special, name me nothing who better, big facts, big facts, runners, big facts, niggas, big facts, big facts, big facts, put that big facts, mama, big facts, big facts. Men lie, women lie, big facts. They not on my level, big facts. Hey, y'all know that, big facts. Playing the game, I know I'm special, big facts. Say I got drive. My mind look crash course, preparation intense. So these blessings coming fast forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I pray for this and it came true. Pray for this and it came true to myself. Nigga, this ain't you. Nigga, this ain't you. All of this sauce up and dripping, but this ain't new. Nah, this ain't new. I came in this game with nothing. I just make do. I just make do. Made a name for myself, knowing they hate you. They hate. Just taking a stride, this feeling I'm grateful. Live life like a marathon. I'm more focused when I run the lap. Last one is a right nigga. I'm a nice guy with a flow to match. Know yourself, the real is back. I get around like a dover sack. Property value gon' rise up. I'ma take that like a ditty track. I'm pulling off in that old thing. Gripping wood so get like timber. Trying to keep your attention. Cause my wheels turn like a fidget spinner. Look ain't got kicking. Collide kicking. My dreams coming vivid. I'm really specific. I knew that I had it. I just had to go get it. They not on my level, big fat. Digging your hole with the shovel, big fat. This game my influence, pulling them strings like your battle, big fat. So turn up the treble, they just sound like whatever, big fat. I know that I'm special, name me nothing who better, big facts, big fat. Runners, big fat, niggas, big fat, big fat, big fat. Put that big fat, mama, big fat, big fat. We on the winning team, big fat. They not on my level, big fat, like that. Big bag, I know I'm special. Big bag. Running, dirty niggas, I'm the fucking truth. Put that on my mama, I will never lose.
This is Warden's Midwest podcast. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We're going to continue this musical break. That was brother Ant Absolute. He will be joining us in about 5 minutes. That was brother Ant Absolute hitting us with big facts. I definitely love that track. It's going to be more music right here from local artists from around the city. I know y'all know a few different artists that we rock with, casually. Just want to shout out some other artists from around the city. Shout out Ever Evolve. We just had a really big show with them. Last weekend, Saturday, we got a lot of stuff on there that would definitely, fit the bill for some dope music. I'm going to play some music for you guys right now from some of those artists that were, in attendance at that space. Um, how about Sister? We got a brother named Deem. who has some really dope music that I think everybody would enjoy. Here's actually a track that I was able to produce for him. Oh, Snap has a lot of views too. I didn't even know that, but it's called Backpack. I actually produced this. The artist you just heard is actually a producer rapper as well. But yeah, man, it's always good to show people some love. So here's brother Dean with Backpack. Thank you all for tuning in again. Really appreciate the love.
This bag has a very strong scent of marijuana coming out of it. It's got a lot of weight to it. Weed in the backpack. Numbers in my old phone. Jumped off the porch, I ain't no clone. Straight to the point like a headshot. Days on my feet, them bitches dead stock, these bitches dead stock. Oh yeah. Plus I got cash in the shoebox, cash in the shoes, cash in the shoes. Ash on the laptop, smudge on the new shoes. That's what the life do. I'm on the move. I'm on the bus now. Yeah. Met a little bus down. That was she trying to bust down. Oh. I'm trying to go home. Okay. They won't believe me. They ain't gonna believe me. They won't believe me. Damn what I do. Weed in the backpack, cash in the socks. Might have to ditch the backpack, but you gon' have to take a nigga ankle off. You get this guap. Nigga, it's a real tap. He's in the backpack. When the cartoon come back from the backpack. Life in the knapsack, I'm on the move. 90-degree wet towel in the headband. I'm smoking headband. Oh, say it. Let me try your strand too. Rolled up a spliff and the shit kick. And that's like goddamn 90-degree wet towel in the headband. I'm smoking headband. Oh, weed in the backpack. Weed in the backpack. Weed in the backpack. Life in the knapsack, I'm on the move. Weed in the backpack. Weed in the backpack. Weed in the backpack. Life in the knapsack. Weed in the backpack, I'm on the move. Weed in the backpack, life in the knapsack, true. Weed in the backpack, numbers in my old phone, life in the knapsack, I'm on the move. Weed in the backpack, numbers in my old phone, life in the knapsack, I'm on the move. Weed in the backpack, numbers in my old phone, life in the knapsack, I'm on the move. Weed in the backpack, numbers in my old phone, life in the knapsack, true. I'm in the whip now. Baby mama co-sign for the V. Thank you. Trees in the grinder, you look like you need a reminder, don't ash on the seat. Weed in the backpack, got the trunk jumping loud without bumping the beat. Ass so big, call her fat and she hate that, but she love how I squeeze. Cash in the shoebox, cash in the shoes. Sold on the school bus, sold in the school. If you ever told her you already know, you ain't never had no holes in your shoes. If you ever told her you already know, nigga stepping on your throat with the shoes. If you ever told her you already know, you a motherfucking hoe, you a fool. Folded for who? I bet I folded the rules. Weed in the backpack next to a folder or two. I done caught me a boulder or two. Never trust a nigga saying he'll hold it for you. Came to the store with a little bit, wait till you see what I come back with. Made it come back like a backflip on a back alley mattress. Oh.
What is Midwest podcast coming to you live, not from the Black Couch this week, but we will be back there. Thank y'all so much for tuning in again. We're just waiting for Brother Ant Absolute to call in right now. As soon as he does, we're going to continue with his interview. But for those who have not, had a chance to do so, please subscribe to our podcast. We will be having this every week, every Wednesday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We cover everything from current event topics to musical artists, creative entrepreneurs around the city. Normally we're in Chicago this week, and next week we're actually going to be in Columbus, Ohio. So that's why we're highlighting artists from there as well. Mostly the Midwest, though. You can definitely count on that. Mostly the Midwest. So if you're a Midwest artist and you like what you see here on the podcast, please feel free to call in and/or direct your attention to um, the Wardens Midwest IG page. There's a lot of information on there. You can see exactly what we do all around the city. We cover events, we host shows, we're performers and creatives ourselves, entrepreneurs most definitely. And yeah, man, looking to build off of what we have in place. Um, we're in the we're in the ground up section of that as well. So um, yeah, man, we're just looking forward to having a lot going on. Brother Impact is not here, obviously, because he's in Chicago, but I'm pretty sure he's tuning in right now. Much love to him. Much love to the Black Couch as well. As promised, you know what? Since I got a little time before Brother Absolute calls in, here is actually a shirt that was done by the artist, Brother Mark Narins, who was also the Warden of the Arts. This is art done by him. So if you like this shirt, please feel free to hit him up as well. All these people, the people I just mentioned, um, Brother Mark Narins and Impact, are both in the bio of Warden's Midwest. And they are, let me just make sure I highlight it right. There it is. And this is his art style right there. He calls those. I won't tell you. I can't tell you that. You got to go talk to the man, the myth, the legend yourself, and he will fill you in on all of that. Um, he is a talented artist. Definitely looking to doing a lot more. Um, Shout out my cousin. Thank you so much for tuning in, brother Faye. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. But yeah, man, we're definitely moving forward with a lot of stuff. Like I said, if you want to speak on any of the topics, I'm going to revamp the topics. I kind of just brought them up to give people time to research them and discuss them. I've already went over basically there are South African countries, and since we have the advent of the internet, look it up right now. African countries who are allowing people to basically return with permanent visas, and they are, they're basically trying to create a new great migration. Um, Trying to remember the name of these places, man. There's definitely, I think it's Ghana. I'm not sure exactly. Um, I don't want to mislead y'all, but I know that there are countries doing this. Try to talk about last time and the same thing happened. There are a lot of countries coming returning, basically allowing people. It is Ghana. Knew it was. Um, it's an easy visa is what they're calling it. So they're allowing a lot of African Americans to return to the country with what they're calling easy visas, and giving them a chance to restart and actually connect with their culture. The president of Ghana was like, we took too long to do this. Basically, we wanted to get this. There was a prototype going on for a while, but we want to move forward with having it, and we don't want to keep any of our brothers and sisters away anymore. We do realize that some of them were pushed away, some of them were sold away, and we want to open that doorway back up to allow people to come through. So I want to know what people are feeling about that. So in your spare time, look that up. I knew it was Ghana. Look up Ghana and see how y'all feel about that. Because I definitely want to talk more to Brother Ant Absolute about it. I know he has a family, so I'm not gonna say that he's gonna do that, but it's something to consider as we move forward as a country. I know a lot of people have felt really, really marginalized and really, really stratified. Can't feel like they can make any leeway no matter how much work they put in. And I think that is really, really dope that a lot of artists, a lot of civilians kind of start realizing their power. Likewise, a lot of people around the world are now joining this yellow vest protest, which is basically something that escalated from people who were becoming more aware of the poison that is just surrounding us and being allowed to be distributed via our governments, not just one government, but many governments. And I'm not going to go into it and be like, oh, this is a conspiracy theory, because it's not. I'm not going to support it as a conspiracy theory. It's actually just facts now. Um, Chemtrails are in the air, just like there's poison that we're now finding in our water, fluoride, and it's now openly being discussed as poison because for the longest, most scientists and most doctors, dentists, which are doctors of teeth, were discussing that as it being like, oh no, it's more beneficial to your teeth. But now it's come out that no, fluoride is actually very bad for you. It's actually a byproduct of aluminum, of nuclear waste, aluminum construction, and it's just their way of getting rid of it without actually having to dump it somewhere. So knowing that our governments have been allowing these type of things to happen, people in France have not gotten fed up with it. They're like, we're tired of allowing people to be in power. We're not discussing it anymore. We're not going to be like, oh wait, can you guys change this? We don't like this anymore. This is bad. They just occupied the streets outside of government official buildings. They've been doing so for weeks now. The firefighters joined them in their protests. Farmers have joined them in their protests, basically went by and sprayed all their excess manure all over these official buildings in protest of this, of these poisons that are now just being actively put in our air, food, and water. And they're just tired of it. And most people around the world are tired of it. So people in Japan have joined it. People in America have joined it. Most recently in Chicago, people basically did a yellow vest protest around noon. Now, I'm not sure how popular it is in the States just because I know things get censored here. But how does that make y'all feel? Can we implement the yellow vest protest as well? You know what I mean? This is like sort of like, I feel like this is a resurgence of anonymous. You know what I mean? Like people have gotten fed up enough and researched enough and questioned their governments enough to the point where they're like, you know what? No more saying. We're going to occupy a space and make you so uncomfortable with things we can do without really initiating violence to make you guys reconsider your practices. Now, France has initiated this, as France does many a time, which shout out to France. Thank y'all so much for standing up and actually making noise about this, because a lot of countries were afraid to. I don't know, this seems like a conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. But I won't talk you guys' ears off. I want Brother Absolute to kind of call in and kind of give his opinion on this as well. Brother Absolute, if you are out there listening in, feel free to call in right now. The people are waiting. I see a lot of people commenting over here like, "Yo, it's my guy" and stuff. So I think they're ready for you, man. Feel free to call in whenever you're ready. But yeah, those two things I think are showing the way that we're moving as not only as the world, but within this generation, the millennials, and the generation right before us, and the generation right after us. Say it and it'll happen. Brother Absolute is calling in right now. Brother Absolute, how are you?
I'm well. I'm well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, brother, man. Happy to have you call in right now. Um,
Absolutely.
how's the fam doing, man? How was Christmas?
Man, fam was great. Christmas it was pretty good. Spent time with the family. You know, it was great. Got to see they eyes light up. We got them a little bit of gifts and all that good stuff. So it was pretty good.
That's dope, brother. So did you just stay home for Christmas, or did you go over, mom's house and
Um, we went to my wife's godparents' house. They had like a little breakfast, and after that we went to my dad. Chilled over there for a minute. Ate over there. Ate good, and then we took a nap. Went home, took a nap, and then we went to my wife's best friend's house, and we just chilled over there. Came home.
So y'all did a little Christmas tour, huh?
Yeah. And it's always like that every year. Like we always traveling and going to different places. Me and my wife was just talking about it the other day. Like, man, we gonna have to find one destination and everybody just link up there and just chill.
That sounds like good. Y'all might have to do one of those, like some kind of ball or something. Have everybody come up dressed nice, do a little gig or something like that. Have some musicians there playing, and just have like a Christmas tree with everybody's gifts there, and have some kind of ceremonial unveiling or something like that. I,
Right.
I never seen.
Right.
I heard people do that for Thanksgiving usually, because everybody want to sample everybody's food and whatnot. But I never really heard people do that for Christmas too much. Usually like one or two stops, but everybody does their own house, and then they go to Big Mama's or Grandma's house of the family or something. But that sounds dope though, man. I'm happy to see people in our generation linking up with keeping families alive past just bloodlines. You know what I mean? Like going to someone's godparents that's dope, man. But
right, absolutely. You got to keep that. You got to keep that going. Because they pass the torch on to us. Our elders.
We're there
and everything.
Yeah, we are now adults. We're soon to be the elders. We are already at level of mentor. Like I'm already at that stage in my life, and I see that you are too, man. Congratulations on. I never really got the chance to connect and say this, but congratulations on being a black man with a strong family, bro. I know now as I'm trying to do that is no easy feat, and you gotta let a lot of stuff go. You gotta let a lot of people go, and you gotta really grow up immediately. There is no like, oh, I gotta grow up a little bit more. You gotta grow up immediately. So I commend you on that, brother. That's beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, it hasn't been an easy road. I'll tell you that. It's always challenges and things of that nature. But it's all about keeping positive and communicating. That's what it's all about.
I see that.
Just keeping having the synergy and peace. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's all about.
Most def, brother. Well, I'm not gonna talk your ear off about that. I just want to let people that didn't really know you get a chance to know a little bit more about you. But how's the music coming, man? I see you got something new cooking up. You what's the name of the project called? Is it Why Not Me?
Yeah, Why Not Me? That's I actually dropped that like last year in November. So yeah, that's like one of my recent. Well, I have a mixtape that was out. I dropped that like in April, and that's called I'm Glad You Asked, and that's on SoundCloud. But Why Not Me is on iTunes, Spotify. You can stream it anywhere. You can buy it. And I'm actually working on another album. It's in the mixing process. It's called This Is Why. So it's crazy. I will definitely break down like titles and everything. So the first project was Why Not Me, and then the mixtape was I'm Glad You Asked. And the next album is called This Is Why, and then I'm gonna drop another one. It's called I Am King, like right after that. So I just been working.
That's dope. I,
I'm
I like that
working.
little. That's a whole little sentence. You got to get like some kind of merch or something to go along with that. I think that's really dope.
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely going to tell the story. Like once everything is out fully, I'm probably going to have it all on one whole disc. You know what I'm saying? Or
Mm-hmm.
one whole thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have videos and all that good stuff. So everything is, everything is in the works. It's coming together. So
Most definitely, brother. So for everybody that doesn't really know you, I want you to kind of explain your journey as an artist and kind of where you started, and where you're from
yeah,
as well. I know where you're from. Obviously, we're from the bus out here, but
yeah,
let everybody know where you're
yeah.
from and a little bit about your journey, man.
Okay. Yeah. Columbus, my home. I always, rep that.
Columbus, Ohio. For
I
everybody
kind
that
of,
doesn't know, my bad. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, 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 yeah. I'm sorry, yeah, Columbus, Ohio. Yeah, I started doing music, man. Like actually doing it like in middle school. Like started keeping a notebook and just writing. Just
Mm-hmm.
writing my thoughts and all that. And sometimes it didn't rhyme, sometimes it did. It just, I started, having a book in middle school and just, coming up with little riddles and ideas and stuff. And my mom, she always told me, like, when I was younger than middle school, probably I was like 3 or 4, she would play like Ice Cube, Tupac, and, those pioneers, you know what I'm saying, of our
Mm-hmm.
time, you know, um, we would play that in the car. I'd be dancing and singing along and all that good stuff. And we would go to the malls and stuff. Like I'll just go in the back, like we'd be at a shoe store or a store or something. They'll let me come in the back and I'll just be dancing and rapping for them. And we get discounts on clothes and free clothes or you know what I'm saying, just free stuff. And I was just kind of like the life of the party at young in my younger days.
Okay.
So I don't know. I just kind of just kept that that light. You know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
shining. And I'm I'm here now. 30 years old, still pursuing that dream and trying to take it to the next level.
That's dope, brother. I didn't even know you used to do that, man. I only knew you as a I only knew you as a producer at first, so I didn't even know you had been writing
Yeah,
that long, man. And I'm not even gonna lie to you.
yeah,
I thought like
yeah.
writing and rapping kind of came on long after you got into the production realm, but I see I was wrong about that. That's dope.
Yeah, yeah, it's so funny because I actually started before I was to take it even back further. Like I would joke around, like in elementary school. Like I would we would have like little rap about like be rapping, and at lunch and stuff and
Mm-hmm.
recess. And
Yep.
I didn't even know how
The
to
little
rap,
battle.
so I
Get in
would
there,
just
B
like beat.
Rabbit.
Yeah, yeah, and I would just like beat battle. I mean, I would beatbox. You know what I'm saying? I would
Mm-hmm.
beatbox. And I know people, some of my homies back then, like they were rapping, they was, fire, it was hard.
Yeah.
Back in that time, I couldn't really rap. I was like rap, cat, hat, rap. I was lines, stuff like that. That didn't make
Dr.
sense.
Seuss
You know what I'm
rhymes.
saying? Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know, like, okay, as middle school came, I started like writing more things down, and my mom, she always would tell me like, hey, like, if you want to do this music, you need to expand your vocabulary. So what
There
did
it
she
is.
do? She made me pull out the dictionary, and I would come up with like 5 words or whatever, and I would write them and I would memorize them. And she would sometimes she would do like have like newspapers. Like, and I would read them, and I'll have to summarize them, and that'll help with my writing.
Yeah, it
They
does.
got my writing skills together. So shout out to moms for that.
Most def shout out to moms. Hey, see, this is why I wanted you to tune in for this reason specifically. I didn't even know this much about you as an artist. I knew that you had grown a lot because I started seeing some of your stuff recently on, on Instagram and stuff. And I'm like, I'm glad to see you still doing music that inspires
Yeah,
me. And people don't know how much that inspires another artist when you see someone who was coming up with you during your development period, and then you get to see them still doing music and see their growth. So I wanted
yeah,
to like some of the newer artists that tune into us in Chicago because we are becoming a larger platform there, and people are tuning into us to let them know like there is a period of development, and do not be afraid of that. If someone gives you criticism, it's only because they honestly want to see you grow. They see you're hungry for it.
right.
So I'm glad you tuned in and were able to give them some of that background. Like I wasn't always rapping good and making good rhymes and like making sense with everything. It used to be really simplistic, but that's dope to see you come here and actually make a statement. I actually do like that. I was playing that. Is the song called Big? Or is it called Big Facts?
Big Facts.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was playing that Big Facts track.
Singles.
Yeah, I was playing that Big Facts song, and I love that you kind of
Oh.
like paid, like you kind of were already like literally doing that mentorship within the song, like all these mumble rappers, which is literally the new generation of hip hop artists, and a lot of kids that are ingesting that stuff literally don't listen to it as much as we listen to some of the lyrics that we were listening to when we were their age, So is that the whole style of the project, or did you just choose that song to kind of like make that kind of statement there?
I think with that song, it's kind of like the same. The album is really shows my versatility as an artist. But I think the Big Facts is just one of them. It's just one of them songs like it sounds really good. You know what I'm saying with the beat and just what I'm talking about. It's kind of like this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm stating my truth. This is my truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is all I know. So it's kind of like an anthem almost. You know what I'm saying? I feel like people can relate to what I was saying. Like like how the words say. I'm trying to tell these niggas I'm the effing truth. Put that on my mama. I will never lose. You know what I'm saying? It's like I feel strongly about my passion and my craft. I feel like can't nobody stop me because when I'm in my element. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like my truth is my fact. That's why it's Big Fact. I'm just displaying my truth.
Most definitely, brother. Would you after this last question, I want to start getting into some more of your music, but I had so many questions to ask you, but I wanted to how did you get started producing? I don't think I ever really asked you that question either, but I was curious to know and like how you developed into that. Like what were some of your first programs you started with? What programs are you using now? And I don't know everything in between, man.
Yeah. So I started producing a good friend of mine. His name is Jamal. And shout out to Jamal. I ain't seen him in a minute. He moved out to Cali. But me and him, we actually he had the software on his computer, on his PC.
Okay.
So he had Fruity Loops on there. And I kind of just started from there. Man, like, those styles are just so futuristic, before all these new plugins and things like VSTs and things like that.
Yeah.
It was just a basic sound, so I kind of just started from Fruity Loops. I don't even remember what version. It was probably like 4.
Like back when, I remember when we started, it was like 3 or 4 back when we started, like, or 2 or something like that. I don't even remember no more.
And this was like middle school. You know what I'm saying? Like middle school, going to like 8th grade, going into high school. You know what I'm saying? And then eventually, when I got in high school, they had them on the computers there at school. So I was in Independence, like,
what?
Not doing work and downloading Fruity Loops.
Oh man, I wish we could. They by the time we had got to high school, man, they wouldn't even let us do that, man. They had like the little block thing on there.
Yeah. They had it was like some of the computers, like the computer classes, they had you can have more access to them. Download Fruity Loops and just make beats. And I know back in Northeast Career Center, I had like I want to say it was like a computer graphics class.
Okay.
And they had, this is when Mac was, a little bit more popular.
Yeah.
So they had, I want to, GarageBand. They had GarageBand on there.
Oh yeah.
So this is like what, 11th grade, 12th grade. So I wasn't even doing. I mean, computer graphics. I was trying to do music. So between time, I would make beats in there off of GarageBand, and from there, I think I went to Reason. Got me a little keyboard, little MIDI keyboard. Went to Reason, and then I went back to Fruity Loops. I'm working on Fruity Loops currently, so I'm kind of back and forth. I dabble with Logic. and Pro Tools. I made a few beats on Pro Tools. You know, so I'm familiar with, you know, a lot of DAWs. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
That's digital audio workstations for y'all newcomers. We seasoned out here, so we know what that we know what that means.
Producer talk.
Yep. DAWs for short. Well, yeah, man. That's a dope journey, man. I didn't want to cut you off. Did you need to say more? I didn't want to cut you off over here laughing.
No, you're good. Nah, you good.
Most deaf, brother. Well, what track you want to play for us first?
Man, you can play. If you haven't already played the Big Facts, you can play that first.
I'm gonna play it again, man. That's what it was for. I just want everybody to get in the mindset of listening to you. So this is Brother Absolute with Big Facts. We'll be right back after this musical break. Turn up or turn around.
Yep.
Nigga with attitude. Part 1. Yeah. I'm still nice though. Yeah. What you know about a young nigga into? Big dreams, all I ever wanted was music. Now you got rich and no other way to do it. Simulation was a haze, man, it had to prove. Single parent home, mama held 2 jobs. She held it down, never made it look hard. Pops gone, let my manhood real scar. Persevere like a nigga steady abroad. No fame, back grades, and we work hard. Verbal with a car, so we aim for the stars. City was a battlefield, see no scars. Cause your wounds were healed when you made it far. Please don't doubt it. I would never allow it. Yeah, they would never ever get to me. I lay them out like a pallet. Night, nigga. You high nice niggas. Mumble rappers for the moment, right, niggas? Still in sauce and never loaning, right, niggas? I can see through my opponent, right, niggas? Niggas be mad but bougie. I see the circle misapprove. My niggas got passion, ruthless. I just stay proud of my grooming. I just stay proud of my lady. Yeah, I thank her for having my baby. I know my luck can get crazy. Get on my way, you push me daisy. Give me my flowers, I'm good. I get on my dreams, yeah, I'm good. What you mean when you know the source? Y'all still trying to find the blood. Are you? They not on my level, big fat. Digging your hole with the shovel, big fat. This game my influence, pulling them strings like your paddle, big fat. So turn up the treble, they just sound like whatever, big fat. I know that I'm special, name another who better, big facts, big fat. Hunters, big fat, niggas, big fat, big fat, big fat. With the big fat, mama, big fat, big fat. Men lie, women lie, big fat. They not on my level, big facts. Hey, y'all know that, big fat. Playing the game, know I'm special, big fat. Say I got drive. My mind look a crash course, preparation intense, so these blessings coming fast forward. Yeah, I pray for this and it came true. Pray for this and it stay tuned to myself. Nigga, this ain't you. Nigga, this ain't you. All of this sauce up and dripping, but this ain't new. Nah, this ain't new. I came in this game with nothing. I just make do. Made a name for myself, knowing they hate you. They hate. Just taking a stride, this feeling I'm grateful. Live life like a marathon. I'm more focused when I run the lap. Last one is a right nigga. I'm a nice guy with a flow to match. Know yourself, the real is back. I get around like a Dover sack. Property value gon' rise up. I'ma take that like a ditty track. I'm pulling off in that old thing. Gripping wood so yellow timber. Trying to keep your attention. Cause my wheels turn like a fidget spinner. Look, ain't got kicking. Collide kicking. My dreams coming vivid. I'm really specific. I knew that I had it. I just had to go get it. They not on my level, big fat. Digging your hole with the shovel, big fat. This game my influence, pulling them strings like your paddle, big fat. So turn up the treble, they just sound like whatever, big fat. I know that I'm special, name another who better, big facts, big fat. Hunters, big fat, niggas, big fat, big fat, big fat. With the big fat, mama, big fat, big fat. We on the winning team, big fat. They not on my level, big fat, like that. Big bad, I know I'm smash, big bad.
It's really moving. Let me play this next track for you real quick. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. That was Brother Absolute with Big Facts. We're gonna play this next one. He said it's an is this next one an unreleased track, brother?
I mean, it's on my SoundCloud. I know a lot of people haven't heard it. So
there it is. This next one is called Moves. And if y'all enjoy it, man, make sure y'all follow him on Instagram. His name is right there. I posted it a bunch of times so y'all know what it's called. Let me see. I know where to find him at. This one is Absolute Moves. We're gonna get back and discuss a little bit more about what's going on in the world. Kind of filling him in a little bit on the sidelines while I'm talking to y'all as well too. This one's called Moves. You said this one's unreleased, right?
it's on SoundCloud.
Oh, okay. This one's on the SoundCloud. Okay.
In Absolute, everything in Absolute. Yep.
There it is. Make sure y'all follow him and stay in tune, man. We will be right back after this track. Turn up or turn around.
Hey, got all this drip, you know I own it. Look how I'm winning, show me my opponent. If I was you, I would hate me too. Y'all on my way, y'all gotta move. Move around, move around, move around, move. Lay it down, lay it down, lay it down. Oh, move around, move around, move around, move. Lay it down, lay it down, lay it down. Yeah. Hop up out that foreign, I done got them nervous. Yeah. Draped in all these fabrics, I done got them nervous. Hey. This came out the closet, I did it on purpose. Yeah. Bound to catch a body, all these side eyes. Hey. Faced with all this beef like some Five Guys. Chain got all these colors like it's tie-dye. Back against the wall, I'ma find a way. Yeah. Repossess my sound, I'ma make them pay. Don't fit in the likes with y'all, I'm better. I've been alone and success is my endeavor. Y'all on my way, y'all gotta move. The paper sticking to me, I'm the glue. Hey, got all this drip, you know I own it. Look how I'm winning, show me my opponent. If I was you, I would hate me too. Y'all on my way, y'all gotta move. Move around, move around, move around, move. Lay it down, lay it down, lay it down. Oh, move around, move around, move around, move. Lay it down, lay it down, lay it down. Yeah. Ask me how I feel to be a thousandaire. All I need is one hit, and we out of here. Made my own way. What's with all this pout? All these labels scouting, that's from all your doubt. See, they buns, I'm hot dog, never press your luck. I'm relishing my thoughts as you catching up. All this good and I'm chilling. I'm just focused on millions. What a wonderful feeling. I got flows to the ceiling. No squeeze in my circle. So you cannot get in. You don't work or you don't eat. That's the code I was given. You're on my way. Y'all gotta move. I feel like the what? Who are you? Hey, got all this drip, you know I own it. Look how I'm winning, show me my opponent. If I was you, I would hate me too. Y'all on my way, y'all gotta move. Move around, move around, move around, move. Lay it down, lay it down, lay it down. Oh, move around, move around, move around, move. Lay it down, lay it down, lay it down. Oh.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, this is Wardens Midwest Podcast. We are coming to you live from New Holland, Ohio. We're normally in Black Couch Studio. Shout out to them. Once again, if you enjoy the merch, hit them up. Follow them as well at the Black Couch Studio. And we got a special guest on right now, brother Absolute. Say what's up to the people. Yeah, man, that was just his track Moves. If y'all like that one, make sure y'all check that out. Y'all can follow him at some of the comments on the side. We learned a little bit more about him earlier in the show. We learned that, he originated, starting off writing music and writing down, poetry and his thoughts when he was in middle school. He transitioned into doing production later on in life and kind of started that in high school, moving around from some of the career centers and, being involved in some of the media arts programs in high school, working with GarageBand and Fruity Loops originally, now in Pro Tools, and has done so much more with that. Did you produce the tracks on this as well?
That was actually a Zaytoven track. He had like a little contest going on. Yeah,
dope.
Yeah.
When you spit on that one, I appreciate it. You got the energy and stuff too, man. I like that. So yeah, definitely everybody from Chicago that's listening in, make sure y'all follow my brother, man. We really appreciate the support right now. Did you produce the first one, or did you produce any of the tracks on your solo stuff?
My home, I think all the stuff I sent you. Um, my homeboy, he had did the Big Facts, my college roommate.
Okay.
Shout out to BA Dub. And then the other track that I have is from I'm glad you asked, and it's all like Zay Open B. This my mixtape, and I just got inspired from he had did a project with Future,
Okay.
Beast Mode, and I just had got
Okay.
inspired. You know how Future rap. I just made it my own sound. So yeah.
Most def, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's I appreciate you telling the truth. A lot of people, sometimes people come on the show and they be trying to front or whatever. We got to get it out of them, but appreciate you saying that. Likewise, I'm gonna show y'all if he doesn't show y'all something with original production from him, I got a bunch of tracks to show y'all, and y'all probably heard them on my page already and probably saw me shout him out and didn't even know I was shouting him out. It's just like, who is this? This song is dope. But yeah, I got some tracks from him at the end of the show. I'm gonna highlight you with, so don't even worry about that. But I wanted to get to another segment in the show. We normally sometimes we ask artists some social stuff that's going on in Chicago or other places. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, there's this big protest going on that's like gained like global recognition at this point, and people are supporting it globally from countries all around the world, called the Yellow Vest protest. And I kind of wanted to know, maybe you may not know a lot specifically about why they're doing it and what's going on, but I wanted to know more about like how you feel some of their methods can be implemented in some of the protests that we're doing today to make more of an impact with our government and to get more feedback from them at a faster pace versus, no offense to, so it's the Yellow Vest protest, which is going on in France, and they originated it there. But likewise, more recently, we just had the Women's March that just took place again. I think the second women not is the second annual Women's March. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. Women, don't beat me up, please. There's more y'all than us. But we also supported it in, around the states, the Yellow Vest protest, and basically people there were getting tired of not getting questions answered from their government, tired of their food, their water, and their air being poisoned. And if y'all aren't aware, fluoride in the water is poison, period. You can now look it up, and it'll now say, even on the FDA websites, poison. Like we can go back to like Flint, Michigan, like what they did with the water there. It's literally like, that's was that not biological warfare? Maybe it is. Yeah, it's biological warfare to a degree, man. Like the water is like not ingestible for humans or not consumable or usable, and it's been affecting people's hair and the way that they develop and all that stuff for kids. So, um, how do you think some of the practices that the Yellow Vest protest has used, which they've gotten the firefighters to rally behind them, the farmers have like basically taken to like some of the streets where the government official buildings are and like sprayed them with manure, you know what I mean? And in protest of this. So like, how can we implement some of those things? Because those are nonviolent acts. Like no one's being physically harmed in those. You know what I mean? But it gets the message across. It's like, we will not stand for this anymore. What do you think we can do in conjunction with, like, not in conjunction, but maybe, yeah, like, you know what I mean? If France is doing it, how can we be like, yo, we support you over here. We may not be doing the Yellow Vest protest, but we'll do this protest and show you that we're supporting you.
I think, for real, honestly, I think we just have to, protest outside of our phones and social media and actually get out and,
most definitely
do something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because it can only go so far if we on the phone talking about it.
You are right.
You know what I'm saying?
You are right.
So I think we just gotta, everybody just gotta come together. I mean, if it's, strongly, if you feel strongly about that, but it's just like, it's just sad because, and I'm speaking for myself too, like, it's just sad because, we can talk about it, we can see it all day, but are we actually going to do something about it? You know what I'm saying? Take the initiative and do something about it. We all got the same 24 hours, but it's about how we spend it.
Yeah, it is. I think a lot of people should I think a lot of people should do exactly what you're saying, because the Yellow Vest, that's why I was saying, like, it may not be the Yellow Vest protest, it might be the Women's March for you, it might be
right,
the LGBT Pride Weekend for you, it could be so many other different things that you could illustrate, like Black Lives Matter, you know what I mean, like all these things that you can support and show, like, we do not support the way we are being treated. We want change, not tomorrow, like now. Make a legislation today, make sure it gets implemented within the next 3 months, and then we will calm ourselves down. There's so many other ways we can protest. We can protest with, I suggest people protest with their buying power. If you are someone, like, especially African Americans, who we need to start doing this so much more. If you think you do not support a company for how its practices are, We've seen what happened to Starbucks. I'm trying to think of some other places that some of this stuff
Yeah.
happened at. But when some of their employees or whatever they choose to do this, oh yeah, Papa John's and people like their owner, like the owner
Yeah.
of the former owner of Papa John's, as he stepped down, which he probably gave power to somebody else in his family or something, blah blah, for all we know. But don't
Right.
support these companies in these industries. Like just literally say, oh, you're gonna let that slide. Guess what?
Right.
The billions of dollars of buying, sorry, I think it's trillions actually within the African American community, but the billions of dollars of buying power that we have, we won't support you with it anymore. It's that simple. Somebody else open up some kind of Starbucks, we're gonna have black bucks. It's gonna be all good.
Right.
You can get your
Facts.
coffee extra black, and we're gonna be good. Like, don't even worry about it. But I agree with you, brother. I really do, man.
Nah, see, for real though, I mean, it's not really a segue, but I love my people. I would love to buy, a black, buy from a black business. But sometimes our people, we gotta step it up though, because
Yeah.
we be raggedy sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And we be always asking for a handout or discount. You know what I'm saying? Like we gotta step it up, because we're not gonna ask for no discount at no
Starbucks,
or
not at all.
nowhere else.
So like, and no, with the advent of so many different, social media and different platforms to be able to escalate your business fast, there are easy ways for you to buy black. I will tell you all right now to go to. There's a place in Chicago that has an outlet for all a bunch of black different business owners and stuff. It's called the Black Mall. I just posted it. Make sure you go look that up, man. There's a lot of different products you can get, like beauty products, food, health products, business consultancy, finance investment, all these different things you can get from black owned people. Because no, this is not us being racist for anybody that may be tuning in. It's like, well, I'm white. And no, every culture does this. Jewish cultures
Right.
do this. Asian cultures, Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, they all have this. Literally, they do. And it's not racist, it's to preserve your culture. We moved here misplaced. We tried to build things up misplaced, and every time some large leader comes up for one reason or another, they're in prison, taken out, or done some other way. So if we come together as a community and stay strong, it doesn't matter if they take away our quote unquote leader, we're still here. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we do have culture to give. Clearly, everybody has been stealing it from us. You know what I mean? Like we have people that are hey, thank y'all so much for tuning in, man. We have food that people buy in on. We got chicken that everybody wanted to get in on. We got freaking hip hop that now is the most popular genre in the world, and it has been for several years now. Selling wise, not just consumer wise of people just watching and tuning in. Selling wise, everything is going hip hop. Country has hip hop influence now, but not to get on people. But yeah, but country was started by black people. People even forget that. Like, you know what I mean? Country and folk was started by black people. R&B and hip hop, blues, jazz, all started by black people. So do not think that we do not have power. We do. We need to just unify in a sense and stop being so cheap. If you're gonna spend $10 at Starbucks, spend $10 on my black man's black coffee. That's all I'm saying. That's it. Most definitely. So I want to segue into another little question. I know I kind of talked to you on the phone a little bit about it. It was this kind of just came to me and I didn't even see it. I was talking to my girlfriend, shout out my bae, Anika. We were talking about it and I was like, I had no idea this was going on. So basically, for the last 3 to 5 years, I'm not going to say too long, but there was a lady who was I cannot remember it's a Middle Eastern country, but they're really close to Southern Asia and part of China, and a lot of them have migrated there to find more work. In doing so, they've been practicing their faith in Islam openly in the streets as they normally do. I know, like 3 to sometime. Don't quote me on that. I'm not Muslim, so don't get mad at me. But several times a day, they face east towards Mecca and they do their spiritual practices. Now, a lot of them have been detained, kept in internment camps, beaten to death. And like basically some of them have not been given, right to access or talk to their family. This lady basically took to Facebook and talked about this because media outlets in America aren't covering it. They just aren't. Because I've never heard anything about this until about a month and a half ago. She said it's been happening for 5 years. Some of her cousins have not spoken to her, or she hasn't heard from them and she doesn't know if they're okay. Like, and I just think that's crazy. But I said this to say, to see what scope of the world we're in right now. Leaders certain leaders of certain countries, because the president of China has strictly enforced this stuff. This is not like he was like, oh, I have no idea this is going on. The president of China has strictly enforced that if anyone practices anything revolving around Islam or Muslim faith, they will be detained. I don't know about whatever else will happen to them, but they'll be detained and placed in internment camps, them and their family. And I just think that that's ridiculous to see that. But when you see people like Trump is in power, people like, no offense to Putin in Russia, is in power, and people like, I don't know the name of the guy in China that's in power, but implementing these type of practices, like, oh, we're gonna like there's a child that passed away in custody at the borders of Mexico and America, or it was it Guatemala, America, Guatemala and America, just from being detained. So what conditions was he kept in? You know what I mean? And to see that like we have people in power that are allowing these things to happen in all these three first world countries. What do we need to do as people to at least keep ourselves informed and on the up and up to not allow this stuff? Like we can work in conjunction with some of these protests to say, hey, we don't support this. We know you want to do what, like, you trying to make this wall, bro. That's not going to happen. First of all. Second of all, we do not support what you're doing to the people that are basically just looking for a better life. Because most people don't even know that people from Mexico are not just trying to come in here just to come here. They're escaping violence in their countries. They're escaping like warring factions in their countries. Like they can be walking down the street. Just the same thing that's happening in the Middle East can be seen happening in Mexico. Maybe not with bombs falling, but there's a lot of different cartels feuding over territory to grow drugs that they're trying to get into this country. So it's like all this stuff is connected, and we need to be aware of it. So we're not just saying, "Oh, I don't want any Mexicans in this country," or "I don't want anybody from like in whatever. I want them coming in the right way." And I will agree with you on that. People coming into this country do need to come in, get green cards. I used to work for the Department of Labor, so I do see the importance in those practices. However, we do need to be aware of giving aid to these countries and assisting them, especially when we ask them for assistance, like how he is. Oh, I'm about to make them build this wall, So I don't know what even more to say about that. But how do you feel about the internment of Muslims in China and how that could affect us? You know what I mean? Like the president of China has been seen on several occasions shaking hands with Trump and being buddy buddy. So how does that make us feel? You know what I mean? How should that make us feel?
I think we just have to be aware of our surroundings, you know what I'm saying, and what's been going in the office, just like you said, how Trump was shaking hands with this president. We have to just be aware and be conscious and keep that third eye open, because it could happen to us. You never know. I mean, you just look at how life is now. We're really in the last days. You know what I'm saying? Just how things are just coming about, how this weather is, you know what I'm saying? How everything is just changing in front of our eyes. We just need to be more aware with everything.
Be more aware, like as he's saying, and I co-sign him on that as well. Be more spiritual, be aware with your brothers, make some friends overseas, man. For real. Like you'll talk to them and you'll I had a friend in Iran for the longest on Facebook, and for a while I didn't believe her, but she would always be posting pictures. And I was like, how is it over there? Because they keep saying that Iran and Iraq has this big war going on. She was like, Iran is a big country. I've never seen any war where I live at. I don't know what they're talking about. And I was like, oh, and it's someone that told me that. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, nah, they're saying it on the media. They're saying I see it everywhere. And slowly but surely, as it unveiled and developed, there wasn't that much bad stuff going on in Iran. Iraq, yes, there are certain specific areas in Iraq where you need to watch yourself. But in Iran, no, not really. There's a lot of places that, there's probably places over there where they try to recruit people for this. But it's just what we need to be aware of. How much negative is going on? How much can we do to assist them? Because we could just be sending money to people in China to help them out with their protests. Like, oh, I'm the organizer of this. We need more funding to have rations so that we can get people out and have them actively stay in the streets to protest so they don't have to go back to work to get money, basically. Because that's why some of these things end. And we can have people power with that. And I think that's one area where we can bridge at, is because sometimes people always want to say, oh, we all got to unite and be culture. That's a far along dream. People have to let down their guards enough to get there. But I do think as civilians the world over, we can support each other. We can do protests in support of the protests going on over there. Like, hey, I am going to go out in the street for an hour and yell out how I don't support this and what's going on in France, or how I don't support it happening in my own backyard. But I definitely agree with you on that, brother. But not to talk it up too much. What's the next track you want to play for us?
Let's play Cases. Let's play Cases.
There it is, man.
I'm glad you asked, the mixtape.
There it is. Make sure y'all check it out. This is Cases by Brother and Absolute. Turn up or turn around.
I just caught a case. I just caught a case. We don't like the judge, bottles by the case. Maybe I'm the plug, you don't right away. If I catch a charge, a lawyer beat the case. I just caught a case. I just caught a case. We don't like the judge, baby, would you wait? Baby, I'm the plug, so your secret say. I don't like the way retros by the case. Drinks push Kanye, seats Kanye pepper. Haters eat your heart out. Add Hannibal Lecter. In a world where none original. Mama rap still sounds subliminal. Who music or you who? End up being criminal. My team full of leaders. Mash out like generals. 2018 greatness. 19 real pivotal. Report live from the top. How I'm supposed to be stopped. I'm so independent. Tell me how I'm getting dropped. This ain't a layup. Nah, it's more like a dunk. Just give me the rock, and that's my opponent. Instead, to tell I'm stuck. Flow butter rim. Middle fingers to the law. Monday night wrestling. Go to war cause I'm raw. Yeah, I just caught a case. I just caught a case. We don't like the judge, bottles by the case. Baby, I'm the plug, get them right away. If I catch a charge, a lawyer beat the case. I just caught a case, I just caught a case. We don't like the judge, baby, would you wait? Baby, I'm the plug, so your secret say. I don't like the way. Yeah, they trying to better forget. They trying to put me away. So I say redemption. I play that great escape. I'm pulling out all styles. I never bump in my brakes. We talk about in my name. They want to smile on my face. You just shoot out your click. That was feminine way. I'm still blessed. Like I'm just saying my grace. Let's all bow heads. R.I.P. to the hate. Every dog has a day. Get it now, why wait? I just caught a case, I just caught a case. We don't like the judge, bottles by the case. Baby, I'm the plug, get them right away. If I catch a charge, a lawyer beat the case. I just caught a case, I just caught a case. We don't like the judge, baby, would you wait? Baby, I'm the plug, so your secret say. I don't like the way, retros by the case.
You want to play 10 deep, brother? Nice death, nice death. All right, I'm gonna make sure I play it for you, fam. It's coming up right now. Put you on hold for a sec. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, that was Brother and Absolute with Cases. I like that track too. This next one is 10 Deep. Let me see what y'all think of it. Brother and Absolute, once again, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Wardens Midwest podcast. Please subscribe if y'all enjoy it. In the next 2 weeks, we'll be returning to the Black Couch. If you like the merch, check it out. There it is. Make sure y'all support him. He has amazing, amazing art. Thank y'all so much. Talk your shit, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I appreciate the love. We're going to keep this going. This track right here is called 10 Deep by Brother and Absolute. Check it out. Turn up or turn around.
You know, certain time in your life, we gotta stay down, all the way down. I'm talking 10 toes, and Absolute. Why they lying on me? This my time on me. Baby, I've been a star. I'ma just shine on them. Got it out the mud, never sold my soul. I done came up, I stay 10 toes. I stay 10 toes. Now I stay 10 toes. I stay 10 toes. Now I stay 10 toes. I'm just shining on me, like a diamond, homie. Covered in this ice, like it's snowing on me. I done came up, Y'all done switched up. Need no new friends. That's more hiccups. Y'all gotta do what I say. Y'all gotta do what I say. Not wanting for nothing. They used to frontin'. I'm up to something. I'm bearing this weight like Teddy Ruxpin. Addicted to hustling. The flux got chunky. Chicken and dumplings. No need for a punching. How you gain a word and sell your soul? Trying to gain some profit cause he told. I just keep it honest, yeah, I got it. With this knowledge, I'm a prophet cause I got it. Yeah, they lying on me. It's my time on me. Baby, I've been a star. I'ma just shine on 'em. Got it out the mud. Never sold my soul. I done came up. I stay 10 toes. I stay 10 toes. Now I stay 10 toes. I stay 10 toes. Now I stay 10 toes. See that shine, don't you? I was made for this. Got it out the mud. God gave me this. I think I'm up to something. Why you used to stunting? Why you used to front? Yeah, they lying on me. It's my time on me. Baby, I've been a star. I'ma just shine on 'em. Got it out the mud. Never sold my soul. I done came up. I stay 10 toes. I stay 10 toes. Now I stay 10 toes. I stay 10 toes. Now I stay 10 toes.
Yo. Thank you so much for tuning in again. That was Brother Absolute with 10 Deep. Once again, this is the Warden's Midwest podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're streaming now remotely. We normally at the Black Couch in Chicago, Illinois, but today we're in New Holland. I'm at my parents' house. Shh. I'm just joking. They know I'm streaming live, but we got the special guest tuned in right now, Brother Absolute. Brother Absolute, you still with us? Yeah, man. That was
Yes, sir.
that was dope, man. So are these all part of that project that you were doing with the Zaytoven?
Well, the 10 Deep and Move, it was I was saying earlier, Zaytoven had like a little contest going on, and I just submitted those tracks. Like he had made like 2 beats, and he just rapped to them, and then he also had a production side to it as well. He gave the whole all his drum kits and sounds. He just recreated the beat, so I did that as well too.
Oh,
so,
okay. That's what you did for the 10 Deep one?
For both of them.
Oh.
Both of the beats, yeah.
Oh, so you recreated his beats or recreated beats with his sounds.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The 10 Deep and the Move song is his original beat.
Okay.
But I recreated both, you know what I'm saying, both beats as well too.
That's sick. So check out this man's skills, because you couldn't have told me. So I didn't even know those Zaytoven songs, but yeah, you couldn't have told me that those weren't Zaytoven. You know what I mean? That was strong. That was strong right there. That was, you know what I mean? He literally took his whole style. So if I can see this man's production prowess, like he literally can recreate based off of someone else. So I think that's really dope too. And he can recreate originally as well. With that being said, I actually want to, let's not a long musical break, but I want to showcase another song, just a clip of it, at least like a minute long clip. There is a track called Big Black Girl that in a previous group I was in with brother Omid, shout out to him as well too.
Shout out to Omid.
Yeah, man, we were in a group together, and this is a track that we put together, and Ant literally came out and kicked it with us at OU for one weekend, and he had this beat, and the boy Omid started spitting a chorus over it. And before we even left that weekend, we had the verses done, and it was ready to get rolled out. So check out this little production right here by Brother Absolute from back in the day. This is like 2011 maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2011, 2012.
You drop, my days blend, my nights flow, both day and night, I glow. I'm all time. I'm prime time. My big black girl told me that it's your time. My days blend, my nights flow, both day and night, I glow all time, I'm prime time. Big black girl told me that it's your time. You can call my drama confessions.
Yeah, so that's just a little preview right there, man. I'll post some more of that later if y'all want to check it out, man. That was just Brother Absolute. I'm not gonna say in his prime, but I want to say maybe one of his golden eras because that was a special time for me and O Mitch at that time, man. That was really dope music back then. So, uh, yeah, I don't know, man. That you've evolved a lot as a producer, man. I've heard some other stuff from you as well. I think I saw one of your videos where you was downtown in Columbus, walking near the bridge, and I like that too. So I think that was dope.
Yeah.
What was the name of that one?
He said, I think that was probably Big Fat.
Ah, okay, yeah. See, I knew I heard that track before. I was like sitting there listening, jigging to it. I'm like, I think I heard this before. Yeah, that was but yeah, I like the growth, man. I want to ask you another question. Why'd you cut the dreads off? Because I was like, oh yeah, like seeing your post. I'm like, this ain't absolute. This is a imposter. Where does dreads go? I was like, somebody stole his dreads from me.
Man, everybody been saying that still to this day. Man, it was just time for a change, man. I had almost a year ago, the beginning of the end of January last year, I broke my ankle. So I was sitting for a minute, and I don't know. I was just like, it's just time for a change. It's time for something new, So one day I was just like, I'm gonna just cut it. It's just, I guess I was just letting a lot of things go.
I feel you. A lot of spiritually, I've noticed this recently too, because I just for the first time in my life, I actually fasted over the summer, and I had a lot of things happen before that. And once I fasted, I think I should have even did it longer, but I kind of did another one this time. I think most people should do that. You let go of a lot when you do things like that. And I think something big in like changing your hair, especially like when you have long hair, cutting it short, it changes a whole lot for you spiritually. Like internally, like you change. So like I fasted for 2 days and I already felt the spiritual difference in myself. I was like, whoa. I was like, this is weird. This is like, this is new. This is beautiful. And I was like, I'm allowing the change to happen. So I can't even be mad at you for that, brother. I'm happy to see it, man. Maybe that was that maturity that you was looking for. He was like, all right, I need to get ready for this. So yeah, I can feel that for sure, man. But so what do you got coming up for us, man? What's some of the new music moves you got developing and brewing, that we can look forward to, man? Any new projects, new videos coming out, performances? Can we get you to Chicago? I mean, we can find somewhere to put the fam. We can find somewhere to put the fam up at, man. Ain't no issue. But can we get you out to Chicago?
Hey, if we can make it happen, we can definitely, we can talk, we can sit down and map it out for real.
Man.
We can definitely map it out.
Hey, let's do it, man. Let's do it. So what's some of the, you got any new projects coming up?
Yeah, I'm like I said, I got an album in the works called This Is Why, and it's in the mixing process at the moment. So we just waiting for that to be done, and I'm gonna drop some videos for concept videos for that project, and then probably once that's done and ready to go, I'm probably gonna get back in the studio and focus on the next album because it's already pretty much done.
There it is, bro. Well, yeah, keep us posted, man. We always play artists from independent artists and artists from around the city that we know. Since many of us come from many different places, I've been highlighting Columbus, Ohio a whole lot. Like I've been holding it down every time anybody even brings up Ohio. I'm like, yo. Somebody say LeBron, I'm like, you already know what it is. Somebody say I don't know, Buckeyes or something like that, sports. But people don't know that there's a lot of artists from our city that are musicians that are blowing up now too. Kid Cudi, you got Styley, even in the hip hop realm. But outside of that, you got number one. Oh wait, you got John Legend. Like, let's not forget that guy. You know what I mean? Big artist from Springfield, Ohio. Yeah, Grammy nominated, Grammy award winning artist. You got 21 Pilots, which is a rap fusion group. They were number one on Billboard for like, I think like a month or something, like 2 or 3 years ago. You know what I mean? And they still got a huge following and they're independent. So do not sleep on Ohio. Yeah, Black Keys. Like you see what I'm saying? They came, I think were they Akron? Was that? I think. Akron. Yeah, see, these are all different small little towns in Ohio, some are larger cities, but we got a lot of talent from here. So I want to make that. I told everybody was like, what's your end game, man? What's your goal? I'm like, dude, so that we don't have to rely on major labels. It's getting to the point where
Yeah.
people are constantly putting the spotlight on the Midwest again. I don't know why it took so
Yeah.
long. Motown came out of the Midwest. Why is it taking so long for people to get their attention back here? They thought just Motown
Right.
just stopped it. Like, no, the Midwest is a huge melting pot. And cities like Columbus,
Right.
Cleveland, Cincinnati, Chicago, St. Louis even have this fusion that exists nowhere else in the world. You got cultures from all around the world coming to these spaces, from Africa, from India, from
Right.
Asia. You got China and Japan coming over here, influencing our music and the music that we already created anyway. And then they have their own
Right.
reimagining of it. And then we just come back together to create something completely new. So it's like constantly just throwing something. They say a melting pot. It's like a stew, man. People just coming over like, oh, you ain't got carrots over here. Let me put some of that in here. Like, you ain't got no corn. Let me put
Right.
some of that too. Like, you know.
Right.
So most definitely, man, we will definitely stay in touch and try to get you out there, man. But we'll look forward to that project again too. Where can people follow you at? And
Yeah.
where can people find the music at right now?
Man, I'm in absolute everything. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, everything. You can find my music on Apple Music, and Absolute, Spotify, and Absolute, and that's ANTABSOLUTE.
There it is. What track would you like to send the people off with tonight, man?
Man, let's see. Do I got anything?
It's a track called Famous. I think you haven't played yet.
Yeah, Famous. Yeah, let's play that.
So there it is. As I send y'all off,
Yeah.
man, it's gonna be the last track of the night. I thank everybody so much for tuning in. This has been our most successful night yet, and it's crazy because we're not even in Chicago, which I think is beautiful. That means you got a huge
Yeah.
following, brother, and absolute. And I think we're starting to get people rallying behind us. I like to thank y'all so much for tuning in. We're gonna continue to come together as people, man. This is my platform. I love to get out there and protest and talk things as well too. But we got to come together and discuss it as a people. Since we're artists, I'm not so much so the head person to be out in front of yelling at everybody, but I can get people discussing the topics to bring us to a new point. We're artists, we're creatives, so that's what we're using this platform for. Once again, this is Warden's Midwest, normally streaming from the Black Couch, but today we're streaming from New Holland, and we're gonna send y'all off with this track. And before I do so, I want to leave y'all a few little tidbits of things to look up. Make sure y'all look into the yellow vest protest. It's really important y'all do that. Look up the reasons behind why it's going on and how you can maybe make something happen, if not nationally, in your community. If you don't like the things going on locally we're here in Columbus, like not locally. If you don't like things going on in Columbus, Chicago, St. Louis, New York, LA, Atlanta, Florida, Miami, Florida, you know what I mean? If you don't like those things, do something about it. Go get 30 people to stand outside of a building and say, hey, we're not going to deal with this no more, man. Where's that money going from that we gave y'all? You said you're going to fix the streets with, or said you're going to reinvest into the education system locally. We ain't seen no new schools yet. We have not seen any new programs given to these schools. That's what we got to do. Likewise, look up the internment camps going on in China that they're imprisoning Muslims with. I really think people should stay in tune with this stuff because just as Brother Absolute said, we have to stop just posting about it. We got to get out there and actually do something. And even if everything, I want to say this too, it doesn't always have to be a protest. You can change things from how you operate within the system. Me, I'm an educator and I'm an artist. So what I can do is influence my music with this stuff. I heard that Absolute, he may not be hitting it directly, but he got things like cases and he has little topics that he's coming up with. I know that he's around school children a lot as well, so I know he's using his influence for those things, and I commend him for that because I'm doing the same thing. I don't always say it, but some things I do is I show some of my students some of the music they listen to. Like what's that? The Race song. When I showed that song to my students, and they were like kind of dancing at first to it because I help with after school music programming, and they're like listening to it dance. I'm like, do y'all even know what this song is about? And they're like, one student said, yeah, it's about him, kind of like, oh, he's about beating cases or something. I'm like, nah. Do y'all know that he got convicted for shooting someone and he's trying to run away from that? As soon as I said that, every student in the class looked at me and said, what? What do you mean? I don't want to hear this song anymore immediately because they know people going through that or who have gone through that wrongfully or kind of dealing with that in some form in their community. So once you get the kids aware of what they're actually listening to, they won't want to listen to it. They'll say, I like the beat, but do you got something more positive with a beat like that? Yes, I do. Listen to me and Absolute on this track. Boom. You know what I mean? And that's when you drop it on them. You can influence the youth and you can do something in your community. And I don't want us to feel powerless because we are powerful. We are powerful people. So let's keep that going. So thank y'all so much for tuning in, brother and Absolute. Thank you so much for calling in. And we're gonna send you off with this track, Famous and Absolute.
Yeah, hey,
Yep.
hey, T, hey, I'm gonna shout out my label too,
Yeah,
man.
please
Me and
do.
my bro, we just got a label started not too long ago. Shout out to Fam, ENT, by any means. It's definitely coming next year. I got an artist. We're all collected though. Kenny, Kimpo, my bro, he a producer. Yeah, so we definitely gonna get that popping next year. So be on the lookout for Fam, ENT.
There it is. Make sure y'all look out for them. Y'all got any social media ready yet, or y'all just getting it on the ground up?
Yeah, it's still in the work. It's still in the work.
Okay. Well, make sure y'all look out for that. Just make sure I follow Absolute. He'll be posting about it, I'm sure. And if you send it to us, man, we'll share it as well, brother. It's all love out here.
Yes, sir.
Most definitely. Well, once again, this is Brother Absolute with Famous, and after that, we're gonna send y'all off. I know normally we give y'all some behind the scenes stuff to see or look out for, but it won't be this week, maybe next week. But we'll definitely be posting some of the older stuff that we have not shared yet. So check it out. This is Absolute with Famous, and we'll be sending y'all off after that. Turn up or turn around.
Say Calvin.
I'm feeling famous, y'all. Yeah, I'm feeling famous. I'm seeing so much love. I prefer to hate my image. Yeah, open your mind, you can relate. I'm feeling famous. I'm feeling famous. Seeing so much love. I prefer to hate my image. You know my aim. You know my aim. You know it. Yeah. I just stay true to the game. True. Keep it 1,000 at all times. This music be keeping me sane. I'm ready to spaz to these weak rhymes. All these no names with the peace sign. Drop the index, you see the language. No remorse for these niggas. Who is endorsing these niggas? They mean to be forced to fat. Yeah. I'm Timmy one day with no edit. They used to be focused on carrots. Silly rappers get embarrassed. Start stealing real apparent. They say what they want like some Paris. I take a trip out to Paris. On them couches in the Berry. 720 years from Clarence. I close my eyes in the vision. They ain't making for no reason. So I go hard and I get it. Blow down on my critics. Tell them thanks for the scrutiny. Your interest made me successful. I'm just talking like it's you and me. Flow colder than 2 degrees. Hard knocks, I got 2 degrees. I'm showing growth, this a planet seed. You a walking lick, crude in the thieves. I don't bully online. I do that in public. I know. Take your chain right in public and put it online. I bet they will love it. I'm so tired they talking. I'm so sick of they jogging. Get this fucking for free. My hat's to the 3, man. I've been up. I burn this bitch down. So you know where I came from. I rose from the ashes, climbed to the top, and that's what they came young. I'm seeing so much love. Prefer to hate my image. Yeah. Open your mind, you can relate. I'm feeling famous. I'm feeling famous. Seeing so much love. Prefer to hate my image. You know my aim. You know my aim. You know it. I'm feeling famous. I'm seeing so much love. I prefer to hate my image. Yeah. Open your mind, you can relate. I'm feeling famous. I'm feeling famous. Seeing so much love. I prefer to hate my image. You know my aim. You know my aim. You know it.
Yo. I want to thank y'all so much again for tuning in, man. This is the Warden's Midwest podcast. Normally streaming live from the Black Couch. We'll be back there January 9th once again. We have Brother Absolute tuning in as a special guest today. All the music you heard today was from him. We discussed a few topics regarding around the Yellow Vest protest. The president of Ghana opening up, making easy visas, quote unquote, for African Americans to return to the country permanently. Not return, but you know what I mean. Some people return and go. We're not gonna get into that big debate right now, but go back to the country permanently and live there, as well as some of the internment camp situation that's going on with Muslims in China that has been happening for the last few years. So I advise you to research all that stuff, especially make sure y'all look up Brother and Absolute, and we'll be returning next week. We have a close mentor of mine, a very, very talented musician, audio engineer, and drummer, Neil Schmidt, who will be tuning in live with us. He'll be sitting, he'll be talking with us. We'll be at Capital University in Bexley, Ohio. And I actually want to talk about that. I'll bring that up. Bexley, Ohio, which is in Columbus, Ohio. Let's not go over that right now because it might confuse you. Yeah, we're going to definitely be talking about, a lot of music. I want to talk to him more about his, him, how he votes in the Grammy board, him being an educator at the collegiate level now for, I think it's been over 10, maybe 15 years now, actually. And I'm going to try to get one of my other professors to call in who's in his own right, the exact same, but also very talented, votes in the Grammys, and is a force to be reckoned with out at Ohio University, where I'm my alma mater. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for rocking with us. And we're going to keep it going. Once again, this is Wardens Midwest. Y'all can follow us at, the Wardens Midwest on IG, or subscribe to our page if you're still tuned in. We appreciate the love and the support so much. We're going to continue to make this bigger and better, man. Is what I say. We're going to make this more better. I like that phrase. So stay tuned and turn up or turn around. Peace.